Here's Fisk. And the wind blowing out. We've had 3 homers tonight, all to right field or center field. Carbo's was to dead center. The other 2 to right. There's a ball. There it goes, the long drive. If it stays fair, home run.
There are moments in sports that will live forever. Timeless images ingrained in the minds of fans that will always evoke emotions of joy and nostalgia. In essence, they are moments that make you believe. Believe that anything is possible. With baseball, certain plays don't just make history, they define it. Carlton Fisk's walk-off home run in the bottom of the 12th in Game 6 of the 1975 World Series was the epitome of just that.
We will have a 7th game in this 1975 World Series.
But it was more than just one swing that made this World Series unforgettable. Much more.
It had everything. So many incredible moments and the drama building up.
It really was exciting every game we played.
It was close. How close? 1 run.
Someone had to win and someone had to lose.
That was such a great World Series that as a baseball fan, there was still a part of you that appreciated it, even though we ended up losing.
The things that happened in that World Series, that brought baseball back.
You know, there have probably been some series that have been played that weren't as good, but none better. None better.
During this 2-part series, we take a closer look at the 1975 World Series and what made it one of the best ever played. Part 1 is next on the Red Sox Report, presented by CVS Pharmacy.
Batting fifth in center field, number 19, Fred Lynn.
You know, the Red Sox were surprise winners that year because you remember 1975 was the year, when free agency was starting to blossom and the Yankees signed Catfish Hunter, who was the great pitcher with the A's, and everyone said, hey, the Yankees have this thing done. And the Red Sox, who had a 7-game lead the year before and lost it, really were not considered to be favorites that year.
In the early 1970s, baseball had been dominated by the Oakland Athletics, who won 3 World Series in as many years. In 1975, the underdog Red Sox made short work of the defending champs in the League Championship Series, defeating the A's 3-0.
I think before we got to the series, I think you have to go back and look at the series that we had against Oakland, because no one thought that we were going to go at that and take 3 in a row from Oakland. We took 3 in a row from Oakland. And if you think about the team that Oakland had on the field at that time, you never would have thought that the Red Sox walk in and take 3 out of Oakland.
It's over! It's over! The Red Sox win the pennant! They defied everybody. They won the division title. A young team that never gave up.
A clean sweep of the Athletics gave the Sox momentum heading into the World Series, but still not a lot of respect. Representing the National League was the Cincinnati Reds, a veteran club that won 108 games that year and fielded a powerhouse lineup known as the Big Red Machine.
We were heavy underdogs. I don't know what the Vegas odds were, but it had to be heavily favored to them.
We really weren't supposed to be able to compete on the field.
And they're saying this will probably go in 4 games and they'll just roll right over us.
It was all about, the Big Red Machine. It was about Rose and it was about Morgan.
Best manager ever. And
Johnny Bench and Tony Perez.
Conception, and go on and on with the players they had.
So, we're just lucky to be in it. We're glad to be there, but the Reds are probably going to crush us. I think that was the opinion of most baseball experts, a lot of sports writers, and probably deep in their hearts, many of the fans.
I don't care what the press says or what any part of the media says. We really felt good about ourselves, and we were sizing them up.
I know we was the underdog, but I know we have a team we can beat anybody.
We weren't awed by those guys. I mean, we went through Reggie Jackson and the guys. So, we beat one great team already. So they were just next on our list.
The difficult task of beating the Big Red Machine was only made tougher for the Sox with the absence of Rookie of the Year candidate Jim Rice. Rice was in the midst of a standout year when he was hit by a Vern Rule fastball during the regular season's final week.
Here's the pitch by Rule. You can see Jimmy trying to get away. Got his hand right there on the bat. The ball just runs right into him.
The broken left wrist would ultimately end his season, a decision Rice did not agree with.
I told him, no, can't put me on the disabled list. This is my body. You can't tell me how long it's going to take my body to heal. You know, if I can play with this pain, I can play with this pain. I think they're probably just looking out maybe for me, but I felt like I could look out for myself because I felt like I could play. But they put me on disabled list because it was broken. And during the World Series, I cut the cast off. I cut the cast off when I started shagging balls, but they had already put me on the disabled list, so I couldn't come off the disabled list anyway, so I had the cast put back on after the World Series.
With the loss of one of their biggest bats, the Sox would need a stellar Game 1 performance from their ace, Luis Tiant, and he would deliver.
Kyle, what do you think is the key to the World Series if the Red Sox are going to win?
I'd have to say that just playing a good brand of baseball. We know Cincinnati has a great club, but so do we.
Here are the Red Sox. They'll get a mighty roar.
I think that we had the edge because of Tiant. You know, Tiant he's a great pitcher, and he's a big game pitcher.
Yeah, for me, was the biggest thing that happened. You know, especially my mom and dad was here from Cuba. You know, they never see me pitch.
This man overjoyed.
70-year-old, very dapper Luis Tiant Sr. El Tiante #1 is watching El Tiante #2 on the mound.
That's the first game in the World Series he see, and you know, like I said before, I thank God I can be with him again.
It had been 17 years since Luis Tiant had seen his father. But no matter how far apart the two were, Luis and his parents always found a way to stay close.
I remember my mother in Cuba, you know, we have a friend over there. He was a butcher, and he got a big TV, a screen TV, and then in Cuba, they don't let you watch the games. So that's against the law. If they're catching you watching the game from here, they put you in jail. And then every time I'm gonna pitch, this man, that friend of ours, you know, he sent somebody to see my mom or dad and tell him, hey, your son gonna pitch you tomorrow, next day, you know. And she go over there and watching the game, and every time they put me in the TV, she go to the TV trying to touch me.
But Luis' mom wasn't the only one who couldn't touch him. With his unorthodox style, Tiant baffled the Reds lineup and threw a complete game shutout in Game 1.
That was vintage. You know, being center field, I got to see Luis at his best because half the time he was looking at me when he's delivering to the plate.
The Sox scored all 6 of their runs during a 7th-inning rally.
Fisk coming around. Here's the throw to the plate. And scoring is Fisk. Going to second. Safe there is Burleson.
The Red Sox left the ball in the hands of Luis Tiant to finish what he started.
And Petrocelli gloves it. A throw in time. And the Red Sox have drawn first blood in the 1975 World Series.
Riding high on momentum, the Sox wanted to continue to play their brand of baseball. In an effort to keep a favorable matchup, manager Darryl Johnson decided to give the Game 2 start to left-hander Bill Lee.
We're pitching Bill Lee because our scouting reports say that a pitcher of Bill Lee's type has good success against Cincinnati. Number 2, we know that he can hold people as base runners on base very well, and some of their best base stealers are left-handed hitters. And again, according to the reports, we figure that the man has a little bit of an edge over some of our other pitchers.
We went out and I was just dealing. I mean, I threw well, I had good stuff, had good command of my breaking ball, changeup.
Curveball catches the inside corner.
It was a tightly played game, dominated by pitching and defense.
To center field, Lynn coming on. He got it! Fine play by Fred Lynn.
And a game the Red Sox looked poised to win.
A lot of things I remember about that. I remember about pitching game 2 and having the lead and then having a rain delay.
Bill Lee taking his warm-ups. He'll be allowed a lot, of course, with the rain delay. And the spaceman has pitched 3 hit baseballs so far.
You know, I had a 2-1 lead going in the 9th inning. Don't get any better than that. You know, and but I should not have thrown the 9th inning because the fact remains I had the rain delay. How many starters go into the 9th inning in a World Series game, be delayed by rain, and then come back out and finish? That don't happen.
Here's Bench. Base hit right field, maybe more than one.
So I ended up throwing him a sinker away, which wasn't a good sinker. He hits a double in the right field corner, and I'm out of the game, and that was the tie and run. And Drago came in and coughed it up.
That may be trouble. Doyle can't make the play, and it's all tied up. Well hit to left center, it's in there. A run will score.
Cincinnati would score 2 runs in the top of the 9th to take a 3-2 lead, and Reds closer Raleigh Eastwick sent the Red Sox down in order to end the game.
And that's it, as the Reds take it in the 2nd game of the series.
The series was shifting to Cincinnati, not only in location, but in momentum as well. Game 3 would be played at Riverfront Stadium, but not without controversy.
They win game 1, they lose game 2, they leave for Cincinnati, the series is tied. But I think what happened on the flight to Cincinnati, no doubt the Reds, Sparky Anderson, the manager, the whole team, they then realized, hey, these guys are pretty good. We're playing a pretty good team here.
Johnny, I got the impression that this was going to be a hitter's series. You think it'll turn around here and there'll be more hits flying around on this artificial surface?
I think people here are ready to break loose. I think both clubs have been feeling out each other, and I think they're going to be a little more aggressive at the plate and a little bit more comfortable right now.
In a series that had yet to record a home run, fans would see 4 before the end of the 5th inning in Game 3.
That one is hit hard. He swings, he hits one back into deep right field. Going back is Devins, and it's out of here.
And the Big Red Machine was running on all cylinders.
Well, Kurt and Tony, Cincinnati putting on a long ball exhibition here as they have had 3 hits off Rick Wise and all of them home runs.
The Sox would counter with some power of their own. In the top of the 7th, Bernie Carbo cut the Reds' lead to 2 with a pinch hit home run. But hope was fading fast. In the top of the 9th, Dwight Evans stepped to the plate with the game hanging in the balance.
We got a show right now here in the 9th.
Game 3 was probably one of the most exciting times for me, and you know, I come up in the 9th inning with 1 out. It just Petrocelli just got a hit off their left-handed to bring Raleigh Eastwick, their closer, to face me.
Here's a fly ball hit into left field. Foster back on the warning track, and he will not get it. It's a home run in a tie ball game. Raleigh Eastwick has just given up a game-tying 9th inning home run to Dwight Evans. As the Red Sox dugout erupts, they have tied it up at 5-all.
And I hit a home run to tie the ball game up. The thrill of my life was at 23 years old, hitting a home run to tie a ball game up in the 9th inning against the Cincinnati Reds.
The game would head into extra innings, but the excitement was short-lived for the Sox, and controversy soon followed.
10th inning in the final game at Pittsburgh in the National League playoffs. Tried the winning run. Throw to second. High. By Carl Fisk over to third. Safe.
We are going to have
down at second.
We're going to have an argument. They may reverse this decision.
Red Sox are arguing interference at the plate.
They are saying that a batter, after bunting, interfered with Carlton Fisk, the catcher, in fair territory.
Well, it was a controversial play. Ed Armbruster was at the plate, and the question is, did he interfere with Pudge getting the ball down to first?
The guy bunts the ball and starts towards, goes over home plate and starts towards first base. I go right after the ball, and it's right above his head. And if he'd have kept going, it would have been a clean play. But what he did was he saw the ball up there and he backed up, and it was right into me. I had to reach over the top of him to get the ball. And then I had to make a throw to second base, and it was high.
When Armbruster hesitated, that was enough to prevent Fisk from really, getting the play off.
That play at the plate, the interference call with Fisk, which was clearly interference. I'll go to my grave stating that.
The man ran into him with a thing. He was interfering, and you went to call it. No, sir. You tell me what you were calling and what he did. On a play like that, I'm telling you, the man interfered with that man on a play. I'm telling you, I want to see a man down here. Come here. You mean to tell me that you can't help him on a play like that when he hasn't even touched the ball, and the man was interfering with him?
Listen to me, there's no interference when a ball is hit, and the catcher goes for the ball, and the batter tries to get out of the
And the batter tries to get out of the way. He was all over the catcher. Now, I'll tell you one thing. I don't know what you're going to make a ruling on that, but I want you to explain exactly what you were looking at when you called the play.
Okay, the ball was hit, he was moving for the ball, and the runner was moving to first.
The runner was all over the catcher in there.
I can't help that, it happened right there.
I'll tell you one thing, it's a lousy operation, and you and I know it right now. It's a lousy operation.
That was probably the most controversial of all of the plays in the World Series.
3 batters later, with the outfield drawn in, Joe Morgan hit a deep fly ball that would send Reds fans home happy.
Morgan wins the ball game. That's it. Biggest credit for only 1 run batted in. And the Reds win it 6-5.
The Red Sox had let another game slip away.
Wiggle waggle, now stop. That is a second strikeout for Tiant.
Tiant's year that year was remarkable, but Tiant himself was remarkable. One of the most underestimated games ever played, I think, in World Series history had to do with Louis Tiant. And it was Game 4 in Cincinnati.
Fans are going to have some fun watching Louis pitch here tonight. Oh, I tell you, he is something to watch.
And it was a game the Red Sox needed to win on the road in Cincinnati, where the Reds were formidable.
Let's watch Fisk. Off the handle. Doyle backhands it, long throw, not in time.
Louis Tiant struggled early in Game 4, letting up 2 runs in the bottom of the first and 2 more in the fourth.
A little looper down the left field line. Beniquez coming over, can't get it. It gets by him. It'll be extra bases. 2 for Geronimo.
The Sox clung to a 1-run lead as Tiant showed signs of fatigue. But what showed more than his exhaustion was his determination. Despite letting a runner reach base in the 5th, 6th, 8th, and 9th innings, El Tiante continued to fight.
Now, see, they've seen him once now. So now, all these things, they're waiting. Guys like Perez, a great breaking ball hitter, they're waiting. They're not going to be fooled again. These are smart hitters, not the big red machine for nothing. These guys can play.
Up the middle, it's the base hit.
So, they sat on some balls. And they weren't fishing like they were in Game 1. So there were tougher outs, and Louis had to work harder. He had to throw more pitches and then fouling balls off. There were tough outs, but he got outs. And he just grinded it.
I know that Daryl Johnson asked him how he felt and asked him if he could go further. I don't want to say what he said, but I know he told Daryl to go back to the dugout. He's finishing the game.
So when they way up, everybody in the infield, Rico, Bullenson, Danny Doyle, Jazz, and Fisk, they come into the mound before he comes. Then it's funny, Fisk telling me, what is he doing here? What is he coming here for? He's not gonna take you out. What is he coming here for? I said, I don't know. Now he better get out here quick.
What do you guys think? I got a left-hander down here, Louis. Can you get him? All right. You get right after them. That ball comes back to you. Make sure of 1 out there. And get after him good. Come on.
It was the guttiest pitching performance, I thought, in the entire series. To throw that many pitches at his age, I mean, just think what it would mean today.
They didn't have pitch counts then, and I think a lot of it is mental. I think all of a sudden we get to 100, well, this pitcher has 100 pitches. I don't think he can go much further. I mean, you couldn't say that to Louis Tiant.
There's no way you're going to get out of the game. No way. 2 outs, man on second base, and that's the last out. I don't care if I throw 300 pitches. I stay there.
Decided he's going to leave him in, going with his best, even though he might be tired.
Through 8 1/3 innings, Louis Tiant had thrown 155 pitches, but the night was not over. With the winning run on base, the final 2 outs would have to come from the heart of the Reds lineup.
And the hitter for Cincinnati will be Ken Griffey.
Well, Griffey hit the ball left center a lot, so I was shading him that way, and hit it good.
3-2 the count. The payoff pitch. Fly ball hit well to center field, then racing back.
And I remember reaching out, backhanded it like this, and I just snow coned it. I mean, I didn't have any more in me, and I didn't dive or anything, but I was running full out.
He will take the catch. What a catch by Freddie Lynn. Geronimo 3/4 of the way down to third, and Fred Lynn has just turned in the defensive play of the game. Here's a man who has not had a good World Series, Joe Morgan. He is the last reigning hope for Cincinnati to try and keep the 9th inning going.
My father used to tell me, when you start it, you finish. You don't think you're going to finish, no start.
There goes Geronimo. Pitch is popped up. And that should do it. Yastrzemski and Boston has taken the 4th game of this World Series. In the 9th inning, the Reds' threat goes by the boards as Louis Tiant is mobbed by his teammates. The win tonight ensures that it will go back to Fenway Park.
Louis Tiant, Game 4, 1975 World Series, 163 pitches. He willed himself to a win over the Reds in their ballpark.
Jam-packed Riverfront Stadium as we go to the bottom of the 1st inning. The Red Sox have already put 1 on the board against left-hander Don Gullett. And now the Reds will go to bat and hit off the right-hander Reginald Leslie Cleveland.
Although the Red Sox jumped out to an early lead in Game 5, it was the Big Red Machine who took control. Tony Perez, a key piece to the Reds' order, came into the game in the midst of an 0-for-15 slump.
That's all for Tony Perez, and that's all for Cincinnati.
Something he was more than ready to make up for.
Well, there's a blast into deep left center field, and it's tied up.
Boy, he's happy.
0 for 15, and Tony Perez makes his first 1975 World Series hit, a big one with a game-tying 4th inning home run.
And in his next at-bat, Perez proved he had found his swing.
He hits a blast in the deep left center. That's gone.
Tony Perez is a great player. He's a Hall of Fame player. What he did that night in Game 5 was, provide a little offense that he hadn't provided.
A re-energized Perez and the rest of the Reds' offense were more than the Sox could handle, scoring 6 runs on 8 hits.
There it is. Eastwood strikes, puts it out, and the Reds lead 3-2.
But as far as the Sox were concerned, the goal of bringing the series back to Boston had been accomplished.
We felt good about our team. We didn't like losing, but and losing 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati, we felt we could take the final 2 in Boston.
It didn't matter to a lot of the Red Sox fans. I mean, we just wanted to get home, get that club back on this turf, back on our lawn, because we knew, Red Sox fans knew, Red Sox could beat the Reds.
As the series returned to a city filled with anticipation, no one could have predicted the historic end to the 1975 World Series. The conclusion of this memorable fall classic is ahead next time on the Red Sox Report, presented by CVS Pharmacy.
Tony Perez playing first base, and Tony is the cutoff man between home plate and the mound, and Louis comes around third base, and it looks like he's going to be out. So Louis comes running and is starting to yell, "Cut, cut, cut!" So yeah, so Tony cuts the ball, and Louis comes in, and Louis is so concerned about yelling that he misses home plate. Everybody's pushing him back to home plate, and he tags it. So what a character!